Welcome to Slow Pour Whiskey. My name's Trent, and today we're going to be talking about the Glenglassaugh Sandend. The scotch that made me fall in love with whiskey was not this. It was the Laphroaig 10. That was the first time I had a whiskey and was like, what? This tastes like a campfire. It feels like a campfire. It smells like a campfire. Am I drinking a campfire? That was what started me on my whiskey journey. That term is, I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to own it. I'm on a whiskey journey. If you enjoy whiskey, I guess you're on a whiskey journey. But as someone who appreciates whiskey, a whiskey enthusiast, it was the Laphroaig 10 that got me started. But then I really enjoyed whiskey. I really enjoyed scotch, and I drank some of it, and I collected some. I had a few bottles here and there. I liked the Belvinet Caribbean cask, and I had some Dalmores, and I had different scotches that I would buy and try. And I'm in Chicago, so I'm in America, so I had some bourbons too, and I like bourbons, but I never liked bourbons. I've never liked bourbons as much as scotch. And I don't know, I just kind of like fell off the train at some point because it just wasn't exciting. I enjoyed it when I drank it, but it was forgettable. For a while, whiskey was forgettable, specifically scotch. Malt whiskey, single malt whiskey was just kind of there, and it didn't grab my attention and keep me until I tried this, the Glenglassaugh Sandend. This bottle is the bottle that made me fall in love with scotch again. So I want to talk about this for a little bit. So this is a single malt scotch from the Glenglassaugh distillery in Scotland. It is a Highland single malt scotch, but it is right on the coast. And this is a very coastal single malt scotch whiskey. Basically all the distilleries are within miles of the coast, but this one is like right there. And there's something about, this is slow pour whiskey because we value and appreciate the time and the natural elements that are required for something like a single malt scotch to happen. And when you are this close to the sea, you've got the coastal sea air, and the scotch sits, the new make spirit sits in barrels for years. It has to be a minimum of 3 years and a day in Scotland for it to be considered Scotch whiskey. So this is a minimum of 3 years and a day old. And that time that it sits in that barrel close to the coast, and that sea air seeping into the barrel, finding its way into the spirit, creates something magical. And this is no different. Let's take a look at this color here. So this doesn't say anything about the coloring. It doesn't say if it has had color added or not. By the look of it, I would say it probably hasn't had much color added. If any. If there is, there's just a tiny little bit. But it doesn't have that oranginess that oftentimes coloring adds to a scotch. This is, however, so we don't know if it's natural color or not, but we do know that it is 50.5% alcohol by volume. The minimum amount that a whiskey enthusiast like myself is looking for in a whiskey is 46%. So this is well over the minimum, which is fantastic. That means that it is representing itself at a high enough potency that you can really enjoy and appreciate the flavors of the whiskey. It also doesn't say anything about it being unchill filtered or non-chill filtered. But at 50%, it really doesn't need to be. It shouldn't be. In general, an unchill filtered whiskey will have better texture. It will have more of the oils, the viscosity, the texture going on in there. It just adds to the experience. And when you strip out those things through excessive filtration, and especially chill filtered filtration, it really pulls back and kind of softens and kind of, I don't know, sterilizes the flavor out of a whiskey. So we don't know, but at 50%, this is definitely a high ABV, which is really good. That will help bring out some of the experience and amplify what we can get out of this whiskey. So I saw this whiskey on a shelf at my Chicago, my local Chicago liquor store. If you are in the area, you probably know what liquor store that is. I'm not saying who it is, though, in case they want to sponsor me. You know who you are. Sponsor me, Chicagoland liquor store. So I saw this on the shelf, and it had a tag underneath it that said, #1 Scotch of the year, and it had been voted by a lot of people as the best Scotch of the year. And I picked it up. I don't remember what the price was. Probably somewhere around $65. It's actually very reasonably priced. This is from the Glenglassaugh distillery. Obviously, Rachel Berry is the master distiller. And this is, it says, inspired by Crescent Beach of Sandend Bay. Glenglassaugh Sandend is matured in bourbon, sherry, and manzanilla casks for luscious waves of flavor. So this is actually aged in 3 different types of cask. And the way that those three casks, different casks, merge and have married together is remarkable. So I'm going to spin this in the glass here. And then let's get this on the nose. Right off the bat, there's a malt, sweet, sugary malt, and salt. There is a strong saltiness in this scotch. It's very coastal. Coastal scotches are often, considered to have a saltiness, like sea air, like the sea waves, and this definitely has a big hit of that. It's sweet, like tropical fruit, banana, pineapple, some white grape in there, dates or like some figs maybe. There's some minerality to it. It's like, I don't know if it's rock pools, but it's definitely very coastal and hard mineral. If this was a beach, it wouldn't necessarily be, well, I don't know. It's kind of a sandy beach, but there's also a lot of stones and rocks around, and you can smell the salt as the waves are rolling in onto the beach. It's soft and gentle and delicate, and it's got a little bit of a white pepper going on there too. It's not intensely alcoholic. So for 50.5%, it's definitely not a sharp alcohol on the nose. It's definitely softer than that. But there's a sharp freshness in the nose here. Let's get this on the palate and give it a shot. Cheers. Like I said, the experience that you get off of this reasonably priced scotch. It's a non-age statement. We don't know how old it is. I think it's fair to say it's older than the 3 years and a day old legal minimum. This is not an old whiskey, but it's got a freshness and an intensity and a sharpness of a younger whiskey that makes it delightful. This is an experience. It's effervescent. It's got, like when the waves crash against the beach and it's like the white foam and it's like effervescent, bubbly. This has an effervescence to it. It has a bubbliness to it. It's got a lightness to it on the top end. It's very crisp and clean and citrusy, lime and pineapple and citrus rind. It is delightful. It rolls across the tongue. It's not just one, like sometimes you get, you're sipping a scotch and it's just like flat syrupy, and this is not that. This has texture. It has movement. It's not just, it gets on the palate and it sits there. It like moves and rolls, kind of like the waves of the salty sea waves crashing on the beach. It's definitely very coating and texture. It has a lot of texture. I wish I knew if it was unchill filtered or not. I think it probably is definitely filtered. I would like it to see it a little bit more naturally presented. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments. Do you know if this is chill filtered or not? It's something that should be put on the bottles so that we're aware of it. But this is the like epitome of a beautiful summer scotch, where you're out on a hot day, you're sitting hanging out with your friends, and maybe you're by the coast, maybe you're not by the coast, but tropical fruit, sweetness, saltiness. It's got like an umami, a little bit of an umami, but like a salty, sweet, sour thing going on. It's delicious. Let's get another taste on the palate here. It starts off sitting and coating your mouth, coating your palate, and then there's this like wave of like effervescence that comes in after that. And there's just like moments where it's like up and down with this as it's on your palate. It's got caramel and sweetness and savory and salty and kind of tangy, kind of caramel, maybe a little bit of toffee, but it's not like intense deep. It's like soft, gentle toffee, caramel notes going on. This is a phenomenal whiskey. So like I said, this was the one that made me realize, oh, there's more to scotch than I have experienced. And I was aware of that because I think the most expensive scotch I've ever purchased is $100 and some. Like I haven't bought really big expensive scotches yet, but if you like, follow, subscribe, comments, follow along, have conversations with me in the comments, we can get a rapport going. This YouTube channel can blow up, and then I can maybe get some ad revenue and start buying some expensive scotches, and I can try them out for you and let you know how they are. That sounds cool to me. So, do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, have a conversation with me. Tell me what scotch has really excited you and opened up you to the world of whiskey. Maybe it's not a scotch. Maybe it's a bourbon. Maybe it's a Japanese whiskey. Let me know what has excited you. But this really opened my eyes to be like, you know what? It is a non-age statement. It's not from a brand I'd ever had before. That's not true. I'd had the port soy version of this, which is this Glenglassaugh, but it's peated. It's very similar, but peated. And it is also, I actually really like that one. I feel like that one doesn't get as much love on Whiskey Tube. But I actually really liked the port soy. I will review it at some point. I have some in a bottle. But this really opened my eyes to be like, young, non-age statement. I'm assuming it's young. If it was older, I suspect they would put an age on it. Also, it's not older because you can tell that there's youth in here, but that makes it good. It's good to have that like strong, emphasized, young spirit, intensity of flavor behind it. But this, I tried it and I just remember being like, wow, like this is what good scotch can taste like, and at a very reasonable price. So I would highly encourage you to pick up a bottle of the Glenglassaugh Sandend. Rachel Berry has done an amazing job as the master blender here, putting together something that is unlike a lot of other scotch that I've had, at least in recent days, to be honest, and at a very reasonable price. Presented well, representing Glenglassaugh well. I know that this is like a new brand redesign for them. They've had ups and downs as a distillery, and I feel like this represents them exceedingly well. And it represents, coastal scotches really well. let's get another smell on the nose here and a little bit more on the palate. See what it's like. Oh, you know what? I'm going to add some water. It's 50.5%. So it can take a little bit, but I don't have a lot left in here. So I'm just going to do a few drops. Everyone does their whiskey different. Some people add water, some people don't. I just add a few drops. Some people add more depending on the whiskey, but I feel like this I want to leave relatively intense, so I don't want to put too much water in it. I like the fact that it's a good amount over 46%. I think it benefits from that punch, and I don't want to water it down too much and drown it in water. I really want that emphasis. Let's give that a second. I just want to point out that this is an empty bottle. There was not a lot left. I actually got through this relatively quick. And so I have what's left of it. Ooh, almost dropped it there. In this little bottle right here with a little label on it. See if you can see my little label. Well, my focus is off a little bit. There's my little... Maybe this is a YouTube thumbnail here. But yeah, this is my little bottle that I have to make sure that there isn't too much oxidization going on, letting too much oxygen come in contact with the whiskey, which lets it breathe, but then ultimately wears down the flavor as the alcohol dissolves out into the big bottle. So by putting it in a smaller bottle, you make it so that the contact with air is significantly reduced. If this amount of whiskey was in this bottle, there would be much more air touching the whiskey than just this. And so this protects it. So it leaves me with an empty bottle, which is kind of weird. But now that I've done this review, I can get rid of the bottle because I'm basically just keeping it to show you. So yeah, that's what is in here. And now let's go back to this guy. Now that's had a moment for the water to sit in it. Let's give it a smell here. That really brings the sweetness out. It is sweet. And it smells intense grape and citrus and pineapple and some mango. It's definitely on the tropical end of the fruit. White fruit and citrus fruit. It smells wonderful. It smells like you're sitting on a tropical beach and you're like feet in the sand and there's just ocean and palm trees and fruit around you. And the sea air is smashing you in the face. Let's give one more taste here on the palate, and then we'll give it a score. I definitely recommend just a touch of water. It really opens it up, lets it breathe. Man, that is good. It is sweet and salty and savory and it coats the tongue and leaves some tannins on the sides of the tongue. But it is very good. It's spirit forward. The casks are really there just to amplify the spirit, and they marry so well together, and there's so many levels and layers of flavor in this. I highly recommend this Glenglassaugh Sandend, especially for the very reasonable price of, I don't know, let's look it up. Hey Siri, how much is a bottle of the Glenglassaugh Sandend? For somewhere around $65 to $75. This is a very, very worthy Scotch whiskey. If you're looking for something coastal, if you're looking for something that is fruity and intense and isn't just flat, but has waves of flavor that comes and goes, and it changes its shape and it's effervescent across the palate. And the finish is probably medium. It's not super long, but it's a young whiskey. But for the price, the experience is well worth it. This is a bottle that you will spend a reasonable amount of money on, and as you're drinking it, you will be like, wow, that was money well spent, which is much better than spending a lot of money on a Scotch because it's got a certain brand name or because it's got cool packaging, and then you drink it and you go, it's fine. How amazing that you can buy a reasonably priced Scotch and it tastes well worth the price, and maybe even worth even more than you paid for it. And if you're sharing it with people and you're having a great time, it's definitely a worthy scotch. So I would give this a, we'll say an 87. We'll give this an 87 out of 100. It would have a few more points if it had information on the label that it was unchill filtered and that it was natural color. But it is, again, well over the preferred ABV minimum of 46%. So that has that going for it. This actually may not be as impressive of a bottle of an expression if it was lower, if it was 43%, it probably wouldn't be much to write home about. You wouldn't have that intensity and that flavor, the intensity of experience and smell and taste. And but at 50%, this is a great bottle. Let's go with 87 87. 47 would be way too low. Let's go with 87 out of 100. This is a great bottle, and I highly encourage you to check it out. As a bottle that really got me excited in whiskey once again and reignited my passion for it, I highly recommend it to you. So, thanks for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. Let me know if you have a whiskey that has really excited you and grown your passion and excitement for whiskey. Let me know what that is. And thank you for watching. Until next time, cheers. This is all I've got left, but I will be buying another bottle once this is gone. Cheers.